Welcome to the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr. I am a transformational mindset and business coach and six-figure award-winning female entrepreneur. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that business and making money doesn't have to be hard when you're in alignment and flow. Inside this podcast, I will be showing you how to transform your mindset to program it for success, how to maximize your money vibrations, and how to redesign your business for ultimate financial and time freedom. You know you are meant to live an epic life. Now it's time to claim it. Hi ladies, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I'm here today with Yasmin Oakley, who I'm super excited to speak to. She is one of the youngest and fastest appointed leaders within her network marketing business. She is a mama. She is, absolutely doing incredible things. She's got over 3,000 people in her team. She's part of Fraser Brick's Inner Circle. She has held the stage in virtual global summits. And essentially, she is just one to watch. Future coach in the making, obviously. So thank you so much for joining me today and for your time. Really appreciate it. How are you?
Honestly, thank you so much for asking me. I am absolutely buzzing to be chatting to you.
Oh, that's what I love about network marketers, actually. They are always so full of energy. And I think I had a previous life in sales and recruitment, and it is just a really high vibe industry to be in, isn't it? Super exciting. Yeah. Amazing. So I've got so many questions. I was just saying a moment ago as we sort of caught up before the intro. This is something that is like just an industry that is ever fast growing, but as more and more of us, I think particularly after lockdown, look for that time and financial freedom, and we realize that there is more to life than doing a 9 to 5. I've got so many questions from the ladies. So many people have maybe dabbled in it before, maybe it didn't work out, it wasn't very successful. Obviously, I still remember the days of Ann Summers parties where I had friends that did that. I'm not that.
I think that's before my time. I think.
Yeah,
that's before
I'm not quite old enough for body shop parties and Tupperware. We're not quite there, thank God. I'm not quite that old. But how have you made it such a success? I'd love to know a little bit more about your journey up until this point, and then obviously any tips that you can share as to how you think that you have managed to set yourself apart and make a genuine business from this.
Okay, so in terms of my journey, I think you have to understand where I've come from to understand where I am now. So yes. I am 23 years old. I started my network marketing business in May of 2020. So I was 21.
Wow, this is making me feel really lazy right now. I haven't done anything.
So yeah, May 2020. Prior to that, so I didn't know anything about the industry whatsoever. I was very much brought up in a family environment where to be successful, you climbed the corporate ladder. So I was brought up by a single mum who worked her absolute butt off. Mm-hmm. And I watched her train and do all of her exams to become the senior chartered accountant that she is now. So I've very much been brought up around strong, independent women. You get what you get because you work for it. I think I said this to you yesterday, at the age of 6, I could recite my mum's accountancy exam stuff because she literally had the massive, the A3 sheets of paper up around the house. So I just knew from a very young age, you work and you get the results. Yeah. So I got good GCSEs, I got good A levels, but I was kind of at a bit of a crossroads when loads of people were going to university. I knew that wasn't the path for me, just because to me, now I totally respect anyone who goes to university, but for me, I would only go to university if I knew what or who I wanted to be in terms of a job role, let's say a doctor. And I knew I then had to go to this university to get this degree and this grade and da. But for me, I didn't know. And I would have ended up going to university to do a psychology degree or a business degree, just to almost fill the gap, fill the time.
I know. I think my kids have that on their plan, just to delay being an adult. At this point.
And that's what would have happened to me. And I didn't really want that because I'd already seen what my mum had gone through and where she didn't do her exams and stuff, when she left school, it was almost harder. So I was right, I need to make a decision now. But because I couldn't make that decision, I then fell into a trainee management program with M&S. It was meant to be 18 months long, but I actually did it within a year. And my first appointment was store manager of one of the smallest shops in the business. So at the age of 19, I was the youngest female store manager in the country, which was just like crazy. Like having the keys to my own shop was just like the weirdest thing. And I think I was one of the youngest people in the shop as well, because you know it's like when you go to M&S, everyone's at a certain average age, and I was massively below that.
I was saying actually earlier that obviously I've got a previous life in retail management, not necessarily as a manager myself, but as like HR and appointing those positions. And I have to say, like, hats off to anybody that is in retail at management level, because oh my god, the level of pressure, like the confidence you must have had to have at that age. You're like responsible for people's pay, you know, you've got to be super resilient,
health and safety.
Like that's just, it's mind-blowing, isn't it, actually, that the amount of responsibility that would have been on your shoulders at such a young age. So I definitely think like your upbringing, where it was like a partnership with you and your mum, it's probably set you up for that level of responsibility. And I
100%.
And I would say exactly the same. Obviously, like I'm a single parent and my children are very resilient. Like they're super good. They, you know, they know when I need to work. They work together as a team. Like it's actually not as chaotic as you would think that it would be. Like, you know, I'm recording podcast episodes and they're like, okay, mummy, like they just know their role and responsibility in the family. It's like we all support each other.
And they'll learn so much from you, seeing how you've done that. Do you know what I mean? And they'll grow up to do the same, if not more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I hope they'll do more. Like that's my whole goal in life, is that my children like exceed everything that I do. So I love that, and I definitely think that has obviously set you up for that level of position at such a young age. And those are the ages. Like God, when I was 23, I think I was still like, well, it's pound a pint night on a Monday, snake bite Sunday, Thursdays. Like that was my life goal. Where can I get the cheapest drinks?
No, but you say that though. So if you were to actually look, like if I was to give an honest reflection now of how I was feeling at that time in my life, you might look at me. I lived on my own in a flat in Colchester. I drove like a 1-year-old Mini Cooper, like absolutely looked like I was living my best life, but actually I felt quite lonely. And even though I was earning way above the average for my age group at 19, 20 years old, I was in a massive overdraft because, and I know this now after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad and some other books, like as you kind of grow and you earn more money, you end up increasing your expenses. And like, I was just almost like living out of my means. But on face value, like, don't get me wrong, I'm so proud of the success and the journey that I had in M&S, but like mentally and now on reflection, actually, it wasn't an amazing time in my life.
Yeah, it probably wasn't in alignment with ultimately like what you wanted to do. We were just saying this about having that alignment in your business is so important for longevity and also for your soul, like to make you happy, fulfilled and all the things. So you can have a job just for having a job's sake, and probably, you know, your motivation at the time could have been like the money and just that success. I'm using air quotes, but you can't see them, so that's very clever. Yeah, would you say that was your driver at the time, just to sort of be independent?
Yeah, definitely. But it did all come to a head because I then had this like almost not freak out, but like a bit of revelation, like, oh my God, if I don't leave M&S now, I am going to be in my 60s working in this company and I feel like I'm going to waste
wearing
my
their
life.
clothes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to have gone anywhere. So I ended up leaving that job and doing a season in Ibiza for my 21st birthday. So that was in 2019. And I can hands down say that was the best summer of my life, because now I have a baby with the person that I met out there. We live together. Like it's such a magical story, like mine and my partners, from meeting out in Ibiza. But even that taught me so much, like it's a different way of living out there. And there's all the things that I wouldn't choose to do. Yeah. If you know what I mean, like you learn how not to do things.
Interesting. I've got a few clients actually that have set their businesses up, that I've worked with, set their businesses up so that they can go and live out there.
I mean, so I'm like, living out there, when you've got a villa and you're living on your own terms, then obviously that's fine. But I was working in, like, I think it's known as like the best beach club in the world. I was a VIP hostess, and you just see people from all different walks of life. And I just don't think I could have done it years and years and years and years, like some people do. So when I then came back from Ibiza, I actually went 3 months without a payday, and that was the biggest shock for me. So considering, like I said, I'd got the good grades, I had a really good CV based on my M&S experience, I was like, don't worry guys, like when I come home I'll be able to slip straight back into a job and it's going to be absolutely fine. And I was applying, for, I'm not even joking, at least 50 jobs a day, and I couldn't even get interviews. Like
Wow.
it was like the most soul destroying, confidence crushing thing that I've experienced. Like it was awful. And I'd literally see my mum go out to work in her suit. She's obviously still being her amazing accountant self. My stepdad's a top sales manager in Mercedes. Like I'm seeing my parents go out and work, and I can't even get a job, like as a recruitment consultant somewhere where there's always jobs.
Yeah.
So I then worked in the pub at the end of my road for as many hours as I could get. Like my first ever job was as a kitchen porter when I was 14. So I kind of knew like the hospitality industry. And I then managed to get 3 jobs. So I did manage to get a recruitment consultant job, finally.
Oh, bless you.
And I worked as like a online business executive for an online company, but it wasn't like network marketing. But I just could not shift the debt that I'd accumulated from doing my season and coming back and then not having a payday for 3 months. Then it was May 2020. One of my friends had been doing network marketing since the October before, and she had just got a Mercedes paid for by the company, and I think she'd had her first 5-figure month. Now for me, obviously going back, I drove my nice minis. When I came back from Ibiza, and it sounds like I'm a car snob, but I absolutely love cars, and that is just something that I'm passionate about. I was driving like a 2012 plate orange Igo, like little like banger thing. And I know, like, no disrespect to anyone who has one of them cars, because I fully appreciated at the time I needed a car. Like I couldn't not have one. But for me, I was like, oh my God, like what is life? My friend's then getting a Mercedes paid for by the company from working on her social media and earning 5 figures. Why am I busting my guts up? Like,
was it that black and white for you? Like, obviously you're going against a lot of conditioning, like you say. All you've seen is like your mum working super hard in like typical corporate routes, like you followed and done everything that you think you should have done. By the way, I've got an Audi Q7. Is that like my cars are like buses now because I've got so many kids, and I'm never going to go back to a nice car again.
I've got an Audi Q3 now because I've got a baby, so we're like,
cool. Okay,
I'm just a bit smaller version of you.
Oh my God, if you ever get to my level, it's so hard to park. It's so terrifying, and it just shouts at me all the time. Sensors.
Oh God.
But anywho, do you feel like it was an easy switch? And I guess there's a certain element of confidence that comes with age when you know your worth and you're like, look, if it doesn't work out, I can get another job. Do you think it was an easy switch, or did you need a bit of a hard sell to get you out of what would be a safe career into network marketing? Or
when I started, I didn't know it was going to be my career. So I didn't go into it. So when we were in lockdown, I obviously wasn't working in the pub because they weren't open, and the online business exec job wasn't a thing. So I was just working in my recruitment job. I literally started the online network marketing business to like top up my like monthly earnings, but I literally did like over $1,000 worth of sales in 2 days, and I was like, okay, like
light bulb moment.
I nearly actually said a bad word, but like I was really, really shocked. And like in my first month, I made 4 figures. Like, and I'm obviously in the industry, and I talk to other people, like people who are like legends in the space, in the network marketing space, earn like $8, $16 in their first month, and they go on like this really big journey. But for me, I hit the ground running, and yes, a lot of it was my confidence and the way I applied myself, but COVID and the lockdown had a massive part to play in that as well. So like the timing of everything worked so well. So
timing is everything, I think, in business, in the sense of like when you do get those almost like overnight successes, they don't necessarily come along unless timing plays a factor. But I do believe in divine timing. So I think we were just having this conversation before, and I think the fact that you've had such a great trajectory in terms of your career and your potential obviously is a testament to like, your mum and your work ethic and everything you've done prior, but also like you are meant for big things. So like, absolutely, like this,
Thank you.
even this like incredible success that you've had so far, and we absolutely need to like lean into that. But I just think that this is just the beginning for you as well.
I mean, I
And
feel that, and it's amazing
yeah,
that you say that, because obviously I feel that, and I know that this is literally only the start. And even in the message I sent you yesterday, I'm like, this is only the start, trust me.
yeah, I do. I absolutely trust you. I believe that 100%. So obviously you've seen this opportunity. At what point were you literally like ready to take a chance? Do you think you were looking for something like a new possibility, like a new, or what kind of made you think, right, okay, I'm ready to go all in and to actually make this a business?
So where the company that I'm with, I don't know, can I say company names or?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm
I
with
can even pop the link in if you want.
yeah, okay, so
I'll put that in the
I'm
bio.
partnered with FM World, so I sell like the designer inspired fragrances as well as a whole catalogue of other things, but the main thing that I sold, especially in the first year, were the fragrances. And initially, like I said, because I was only looking to top up my monthly income, I applied myself because that's what I've always done. But when I did the over £1,000 worth of sales in those first couple of days, I was like, okay, this is serious. I could make some serious money from this. So by my second month, I was earning more than my 9 to 5 from the network marketing business. Then by month 3 and 4, I think it was tripled. So,
Wow.
and this was obviously because I'd only been in recruitment for like 9 months at this point. And they put me into a situation where I was actually having to grow a whole new department. So I wasn't even put in the recruitment company. I wasn't even put in a department where there was loads of like prospects. I had to make the prospects. So I was almost like already on the back foot with it. I was already earning commission though. Like I flew with that as well, and went in and asked for a £5 pay rise after 3 months because like, you're not paying me enough.
Yeah.
And that worked really well. But yeah, by month 4, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
handed in my notice for my 9 to 5 and was like, right, now I can take this so seriously. So it was the end of August of 2020 that I handed in my notice. And within 10 days, I handed in my notice. I got a car paid for by the company, which was my goal. I said as a late birthday present, my birthday's in August, that I was going to get a car and out of my orange pumpkin, as my family calls it. And I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, that's
So
definitely
like,
divine timing.
literally, like, and you know what? It's so weird. I actually test drove a Mercedes GLA, so like the slightly bigger version of the A class that I actually had first time round. And I remember sitting in it feeling like this is the car that I need. And my family were like my parents were like, well, you're not exactly starting a family, are you? Da, 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 da. And then literally a few days later, it was, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh shit, I got the wrong car.
You manifested that.
Literally. So yeah, and then I was just like at it because I knew that I'd almost like burned all the ropes. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd crossed the bridge and burnt all the ropes behind me. Like there was no going back. So it just had to work.
Yeah. I'm a
And
firm believer of that, actually. I think sometimes when we have a plan B, we never fully commit to plan A. So you do,
100%.
yeah, you do have to go all in because energy flows where focus goes. So when you're trying to play it safe, keep it small, do too many things, you're never going to really get momentum in anything that you're doing. So I fully commend that commitment. And I think it's about having commitment, like having that confidence in yourself that you know
Yes.
whatever happens, you're going to be fine because you've got skills that you could do anything. So even if it didn't work out, worst came to the worst, like you can always go back into another job, and it's having that confidence and trust in yourself, I think, which is really important.
Yeah, there was literally no question. Like as soon as I left my job, I was like, yeah, this is working. So then fast forward to the November, so I've been in the business like 7 months. That's when I became the youngest and fastest diamond orchid leader, which won't sound like much to anyone who's not within FM world, but it's like the top of the second compensation plan. There's only a few people in the country who are at that level. And yeah, I became the youngest and fastest to reach it, which was crazy. So that meant, well, actually the month before that, I'd had my first 5-figure month. And like, I remember just sat there thinking like, this time the year before, I hadn't had a payday. Like that was like the first month of me not having a payday. I would never have dreamt of being able to earn 5 figures in 1 month, let alone like 6 months at that point in my life.
But I think that's the power of like that's being aware of like how much personal power you have. Obviously, I'm a mindset coach as well, so a lot of the time when I work with women, they get really stuck in like their former identity. They find it really hard, like they think if life has always been a particular way for like their whole life, that's how it's always meant to be. But I always believe that, you know, how it has been up to this point, you can change it in an instant, and it comes from making that decision for yourself that I'm not having it anymore. This is not my life anymore. Like, and it's understanding like the amount of personal power you have as a woman, that literally you've set your mind to this, and look what you've achieved in such a short space of time. And that's just from giving yourself permission to go all in, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything you've just said. Like, there is nothing that I won't achieve if I've set my mind to it, if that makes sense. Like, I can achieve anything. If I say I'm doing something, best believe it's going to be done.
Yeah. So where do you think that comes from in terms of like, because I work in the online space. There's a lot of women that I know that come and gone, tried their hands at network marketing. It hasn't worked out. What do you think that you have that perhaps other people need to lean into more or work on more in order to be successful?
So I think it's a really good question. The biggest thing is you have to grow as a person at the same time that you're trying to grow your business. So the income that you're earning from your business is a direct reflection of how much you've grown as a person. So you need to be listening to self-development podcasts. You need to be reading books. You need to be doing this and that to grow your knowledge, because knowledge is power. And like, I was never that person who was a bookworm before I started in the industry, but I could see some other people who were big leaders in the business that I'm in who were reading books. And there was one, it's Miss Moneybags by Michelle Stonehill. That was the first book that I read in network marketing. And it gave me so many ideas. And like, when me and my partner were in Mykonos for our birthdays, while I was pregnant, but didn't know, and before I'd left my job, I was sat on the sunbed with my head in it. I wasn't even talking to him. I was just so like engrossed in, this is what this industry can do for you. Like, this is amazing. And then don't get me wrong, like now I've got Finn, my little boy, like I don't have the time to read really thick books. So what do? I listen to podcasts every day on my daily walk with him. So I think a lot of people have the mindset of, I can't do this because of this. You almost have to have a solution-based attitude as well with it, because if you're always thinking, oh, I can't do this, then you're never going to get anywhere, because you're never going to be able to do anything. Yeah. So if you can't read, watch. If you can't watch, listen. Like, there's so many ways that you can absorb self-development. And that has definitely,
I think it's so important, particularly within network marketing, to really pour into yourself, because you're continually giving your energy to other people. So I love that what you said about how like every level of success requires a new level of self-belief, and that comes from doing the mindset work. Absolutely. So and like you say, it's those people that are constantly telling themselves they can't find the time. I would say, like, it's not about I can't find the time, it's just this is not a priority for me at the moment to spend my time on it. And that's ultimately what we're saying to ourselves, like, if we're really honest. So would you say it's that commitment and making it a priority?
Yeah. And also another big thing is staying in your own lane and keeping those blinkers on, because it is so easy to compare yourself to other people. Like, you can literally click on Instagram, you can click on Facebook, and you can easily compare yourself to all these people who will be far more successful. Well, newsflash, like, there's always going to be more successful people in this world than you, but you are also going to be more successful than other people in this world. So like, you have to be grateful of where you are now, what you've got now, but also be so clear on where you're heading that all this other noise around you is never ever going to affect you. And like, I've got to the point now where I've actually muted people on Instagram, because the things that I see of them, it gives me bad vibes. Well, why do I want to be using my social media? Yeah, I don't want to have bad vibes from people. Like, I don't want to unfollow them because I don't want it to cause an issue. And some people have the apps where you can see when people have unfollowed you. Like, I don't want no drama. Like, I'm not about the drama. But like, I have now got a safe space on my social media platforms that fills me up with the type of energy that I want and gives me the motivation. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not like muting people who are like mega successful because it makes me feel sad that I'm not there. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like, I have so many inspirational people who are far more successful than me right now, but you don't want to be open to the people that give you the bad vibes.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes when we're triggered, like I actually see jealousy as a really positive emotion. So anything that, particularly like obviously, you know, you believe in like manifestation and stuff like I do. So anything that invokes that strong emotion in you attached to a desire, you'll be manifesting like off the back of it. So I think when you get a strong emotion like jealousy, it's really powerful. But rather than like judging yourself or that person, it's about, why is this triggered me? And typically it's because it's a desire that you have that maybe you know, for some clients when they get that, it's like you know, it will indicate a limiting belief that they feel like they can't achieve the next that same level of success. But I think it's always like really interesting, so I'm like, oh, I didn't know that that was something that I was quite interested in, but obviously I am, so I'm going to lean into that. Like, what is it about that thing? Is it that, you know, like they're getting all that time with their baby? Is it that I want that financial freedom? Is it that they're, you know, as women, we love to judge each other as well. So when you were like, I'm not bragging, I'm not a snob about my car, and I'm like, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, let's not apologize for it. We've got to all like clap for each other and celebrate. Like for me, it's shoes. So you better believe that I've got a few shoes on my vision board. If they come true, you are going to see me on the school run. You're going to see me like 100 selfies. I'm going to be wearing these bloody shoes everywhere. Like, trust me. And anybody that judges me, that says anything, that says more about them than me. But I love that you have like, I mean, it's really great to see. And I do have this curiosity about like the next generation, because obviously like I am that little bit older than you, and I always felt like my generation, like we're the pioneers, because we are, you know, showing the next generation what's possible. Like my mum couldn't have had an Amazon store, like that wasn't even a thing when she was younger. But then what does that mean for like the next ones coming up? You're not going to have like these limitations or these set corporate paths, like you know,
The
like,
only thing is
yeah,
though, and me and my partner were talking about this last night, where success is so readily available on social media, I think that's why a lot of younger, like say like my kind of age, people who join network marketing stop so quickly, because they're in the mindset of, oh well, I've seen this person get this quickly. They start, think that they're going to get the same, don't realize how much hard work is actually going to, like, it's going to involve, and then they almost like quit before they've even started. So I totally get what you're saying, but actually I think the people who will be successful in this generation are going to be a completely different breed of people, because everyone else is going to be so complacent and think that they can get success by not doing
yeah.
much.
Yeah, because I guess when you think about it, you've kind of been preparing for this like your whole life. Like I was saying, I've obviously worked with a lot of network marketers, but I was so keen to speak to you specifically because just your energy, you know, the way you present yourself, like it's another league to a lot of the people that I've seen that are just like trying to like throw spaghetti at the walls and just like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's like, I never get that from you at all. And I think that's probably what allows you to build such great relationships, because it feels like it's coming from such a great place. And that comes from like your work ethic, like, oh my god, you're amazing. Like we've messaged a few times and you're always really responsive, and I'm like, how does she get the time? Like she's obviously on these stages, like you're giving value to your team. You've got like over 3,000 people that you are essentially mentoring. Like it's insane. Like you must have but I do love the fact that you're recognizing things that may be potentially energy drains for you as well. So you're super selective with your energy by muting certain accounts that may trigger you. Like you're protecting that energy for where you need to show up for your team and for your business. So I love that you're doing that intuitively, even if you don't realize. So obviously for me as a coach, I'm like,
so lovely.
oh my god, she's like amazing, and you're just doing all of this completely off your own bat, because you've realized for yourself that for you to be the best version of yourself, you have to pour into yourself and invest in those things. So I absolutely love that. So what would you say makes a really great like successful network marketer? So somebody was like, do you know what, I'm quite resilient, I'm quite confident, like what do you think are the attributes of somebody that would make it in network marketing?
So resilience, definitely. You have to be like thick-skinned, and I actually think that I learned that from my recruitment job. So
Oh god, yeah.
taking rejection on a daily basis, like I was literally cold calling people in my recruitment job and literally having people like scream down the phone at me. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to have thick skin. Coachability is a massive one. Like you can't come into the industry saying you want all of this stuff. Yeah, I want the money. Yeah, I want the car. Yeah, I want the time, financial freedom. If I then give you a simple task and you're not prepared to do it, then unfortunately this is the wrong industry for you. I think understanding that things take time as well is a massive one. And I'm tempted to say that confidence isn't necessarily an attribute that you need, because you can learn that. And like, I have so many people who come into my inbox saying like, I want what you've got, I want the business that you've got, but I'm not confident enough to talk on my Instagram stories, or I'm not confident enough to go live. Like, not everyone starts with the confidence, but the thing that I love the most is seeing and helping people and coaching people in my team to the point where they've gone from nothing to now doing lives, unboxing their products and stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah, confidence isn't even one, it's just a willingness to learn. And the amazing thing about the industry is you don't need any qualifications, there's no discrimination, you can come from whatever background, you can come from whatever culture, you can come from anywhere in the country, but you can still make an amazing life for yourself. And the thing that I love about FM probably the most is that it is free to join. So for me, obviously now you know my story of coming from a place of a lot of debt, like I wouldn't have been able to afford 50, 100 quid, 150 quid on a starter pack like some companies do. And like there's no monthly subscription, there's no goals. Like if I wanted to earn 5 quid next month, and then the next month I wanted to earn 50 quid, like I can do that. I can step away from the business whenever I want. So the flexibility is just there. So sorry, I've gone off on a complete tangent from what you
would you
asked.
say
But
like discipline and like I know it's a bit of a buzzword, but like connecting to your why and like your higher vision as to what it is that what this means to you in terms of like, you know, obviously for you when you had your son, I guess that probably accelerated your motivation, because you're like, I am not going to sit here and not have any money, I will have to go back to work when I've got a son at home.
100%, yeah, discipline is a massive one, because so many people say this, but like, oh, like motivation is one. Well, you're never going to be motivated every single day of your life. It would be completely not normal if you woke up on the right side of the bed every single morning. But if you've got that discipline and you've got your morning routine and you know that this time is when you're going to do work and you're committed to that discipline, then you'll be unstoppable, because nothing kind of thrown at your way will like take you off that path.
Yeah, discipline is an act of self-love, I think, because it's saying that I've got a goal and I know I'm worthy of it and I'm going to feel amazing when I've achieved it. So I'm going to do the things that I need to do because I'm worth it. You know, a lot of people think discipline's a bad thing, but I think it's a, you know, it's essentially putting your needs first.
It is actually quite difficult though. Like, obviously when you work in a corporate job, you have a manager, so your manager will tell you that you have to come to work at 9 and you finish at 5, or you take your lunch break at this time, or you have to hit these targets. Like when you're in network marketing, you're self-employed, like you're your own boss, like you have to be disciplined with yourself. And I think that's what some people find the absolute hardest. And like the sacrifices you have to make, like you might not go to a family party if you've got a Zoom call. And like some people might think that's absolutely ridiculous. Why am I going to miss out on a family party? But if you think about the long term, in 5-10 years down the time, you'll never have to miss a family party again, because you're sacrificing the time now. Whereas if you don't, and you say you're in a 9 to 5, or I'm not just in 9 to 5s, but just as an example, if family parties start at 5, but you're working till 7, well, for the rest of your life, you're going to be missing some family parties. So you choose which sacrifices you make at what time.
Yeah, and it's about being selective, isn't it? Yeah, I totally get that. So obviously I'm a money mindset coach too, and a lot of clients for me really struggle with that residual income element. Like they feel like making money has to be hard, and if they haven't earned it, then it's almost like they like just reject, they really procrastinate, they really start to self-sabotage. When it starts to feel easy, then they feel like they're not worthy, they're not deserving, they put it off. Like how is that? Because presumably now you've got such a big team, you're not in the doing so much, I'm assuming, like you're a little bit further removed from it, so maybe you're not having to work as hard at this point.
I mean, it's a bit of a shift. So I'm working, obviously I'm not working the same as what I was this time last year, because I now have a baby and my partner works a 9 to 5 job. So the majority of my time is obviously with Finn. But my time, the time that is now not necessarily recruiting and sales, I'm pouring into the team. So I'm doing team trainings. So, and then that is what kind of pays me, if that makes sense. But I'm also very much in the mindset, and this is where a lot of network marketers go wrong. They get to a point and then they stop doing all the things that they first started doing in the business. You can't get to a point and then stop making sales. You can't get to a point and stop recruiting yourself. You have to continue building your business and let your team do theirs.
Yeah, so it's almost like another hat that you've got to wear at that point. So yeah, perhaps rather than getting easier, it's and that's so great as well that you've recognized that for yourself, because absolutely, like so many of my clients, it'll be like, okay, like I had so much success at the beginning and now it's kind of gone a little bit wrong. And I'm like, well, what were you doing at the beginning? Well, I was putting in like all these hours, I was, collaborating, doing reach outs, nurturing, like had this whole cycle, and then now they're just not. And it's like, I find with business, like, but that's the exciting thing. Like, I think I'll always be an entrepreneur, and I always have been to a certain extent. But now I've made that shift. It is like, that's what I love. The job is never done. Like, there'll always be a new way of building relationships and reaching out. There'll be always be like different ways to monetize your business to serve your clients. Like, that's what makes it exciting. And as you said earlier about how like the growth is never done, again, like you wouldn't ever see a tree. Like I'm obviously very spiritual, so like when we come into this world and we've got our soul's contract, our soul's main purpose is to grow and develop and keep moving on to the next level, keep doing the next thing. Like a tree, you wouldn't see a tree who's like, oh, I've grown enough now, I'm good, I'm tall enough, that's me done, thanks very much, like I'll just sit here now and die. It's I'm good now, that was enough. But that's what makes it exciting. It's like, it's always like the next chapter, the next journey, like the next thing, the next level. Otherwise, God,
but
how
also
boring would it be?
when you're saying about how clients feel like when like they kind of stop earning, if it feels like it's hard work, like really hard work to earn money in network marketing, then you almost need to question, are you doing it in the right way? Because it shouldn't be sales, recruitment. It should be about genuinely building relationships, because then everything comes so easily. And if you genuinely believe in the products that you're selling, then you'll naturally share with people the products that you're using, your passion will come through, and that will attract the right people to your business, whether they want to buy from you or join your team. And like, don't be afraid of, I'm going to say this and so many network marketers are going to go, what? Don't be afraid of swapping companies, because I'm so grateful that I almost fell into the right company for me. I will hold my hands up and say I didn't do any research into the industry. I didn't know there were so many companies out there. But like when I look at some of the what's the word? Oh my God, my baby brain's just gone straight in the middle of my forehead.
Other network marketing companies?
Yeah, like the protein shake companies, or like skincare stuff. Like I have eczema. I'm very limited with the things that I can put on my face. So like if I'd have started in one of those companies, I probably wouldn't have been as successful, because I don't like smoothies, I don't like protein shakes, I don't put things on my face. Whereas the fragrances just really works for me. But if you're in a situation where you feel like you're not actually passionate about the products, or you can't even find selling points for them, then you need to look at
that I couldn't agree with you more. Like they always say, you've got to either like love what you do, why you do it, or how you do it. So and if you're not in alignment with those things, then it, because I'm sure cleaners don't absolutely, well, I mean, some people do, don't they? Miss Hinch like absolutely loves cleaning, and that's like her therapy. For me, not so much. But yeah, so what you do, how you do it, or why you do it, it needs to be your driving force in business. But I always say to my clients as well, and this is how we get out of the way of like imposter syndrome and comparison, is if you've genuinely got a business and a service that you feel really passionate about, it will be easy to sell, because people buy from people, and they see when people are disingenuous and they're not really like that. It's literally, that's why a lot of influencers don't have influence, because it's something different every week, and their audience aren't stupid. Like they know, well, you were selling something else last week, so you're clearly not an expert, you're clearly not that interested in this thing, it's just another thing. And I think audiences are becoming really savvy to that as the online space expands. You've genuinely got to be aligned with what it is that you're selling, but equally for your own soul, like how boring otherwise if you're selling something that you literally just could not give two shits about, to be quite honest.
Draining.
Yeah, but you've still got to like pedal this out just to make an income, because then it is hard work, and then you are putting yourself under pressure, and it just isn't fun. And I'm very much the mindset like business has to be fun, because equally you need to be able to like take risk, you've got to make it playful, like and that only comes from, like you say, finding the right product that fits with you. So what does a typical week look like for you?
So every Tuesday night, I have a team call We do group activities together. So like we will all sit on a Zoom and we will all work at the same time. I mean,
Did you
since
say every night? That was
every Tuesday.
Oh, every Tuesday. I was like, every night? Wow.
No, not every night.
So you feel like accountability is important.
Yeah, and like I just think as well, like the reason we don't do it every night, even though some members of the team would want it, is because sometimes, like obviously where I don't work 9 to 5 and I have a baby, some of my activity can be done in the morning when other people are at work. So I almost set like the one day of a Tuesday, right, this is when we're all going to get together. And yeah, there's not really much that I have set in stone on a weekly basis, just because like the industry can change really fast, or there's new products that can come out on different days. I try not to give myself too much of a strict like weekly plan. In terms of like sales wise, I do a thing called Monday Blues every single Monday, which goes onto my Instagram, and like everyone watches that. And the last 7 weeks I've been doing Monday Blues success. So I've been picking success from the team and sharing it, shouting about it. And I think that's really good because it gives people a different dimension. Like it's all well and good seeing I've got a car, I've left my 9 to 5, but like you can actually see the different levels of success in the business.
Yeah, that's really good. Would you say that your growth, because obviously you've got quite a good social media page, obviously, you know, my business partner was formerly an influencer, and do you feel like that has a bearing on it? Or do you feel like, you know, I'd love to know, like, why do you think that you are so successful in terms of like your audience? Is it because you're mixing it up? Is it because you're being like real and you're sharing like all the behind the scenes? Are you being creative with your content? Like, what would you say it was?
So when I started in network marketing, I had just over 5,000 followers. I'm literally like 5 followers away from 10,100. So within probably 18 months, I've doubled my following. So yeah, you might look at my page now and think, oh, she's got an amazing following. But when I started, it wasn't like that. I've just been so real. And obviously since having my boy, like mums love to follow mums on Instagram. There's no point me going business all the time, unless I'm trying to attract that type of person, but I'm not. Like, I know that my why and my reason I'm put on this earth is to show mums that you have another way of making money, because my mum didn't. Like she had to go back to work when I was literally 5 months old, and she had to leave me so that we could have a house and that we could have food on the table. Whereas like I feel like my purpose is to show people that there is another way. So by just showing me on my daily walks with my boy, when I get a delivery of perfume, like yesterday I went to Tesco's and there was an idiot that didn't have a child that parks in a baby.
Oh my God, preaching to the choir. I was like, I've nearly had fights in car parks over parking spaces. So frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, so even like sharing my experiences of that, like I knew hands down that other mums would have had that same situation. So just showing people that I'm just another normal mum that can make 4 and 5 figures every month. Like if I can do it, there is no reason why you can't. I think that's probably been why I've been so successful, because I'm literally no different than the person next door.
I love the narrative that you're sharing, in the sense that like women, there's another way, and you don't have to, like, from a personal note, I was in corporate, went back to corporate after my first baby, who's now 11, bless her, but she was only 6 weeks old, because I was working in London and I was on a contract. So the like God, like the amount of trauma that I've been carrying around and mum guilt for that.
I can't imagine. And, like, hats off to you.
And I tried for 7 years to have her as well, so it was just so sad, like IVF and all sorts. So and there wasn't another way for me at that point. Like there was just nothing. Like it wasn't until I literally went all in on my other businesses, left corporate, sold my house, relocated. Like, you know, this is an opportunity that's free. Like I literally had to sell my house in order to buy my other
mental.
But that's how committed I was, that I was ready for change. I was like, I am not doing this anymore. Like you've had so many, like in corporate from 18, you've had so many years of my life, I'm not doing it anymore. And obviously, you know, being a single parent as well, it's feeling like you've always got to apologize if you need to, you know, take time off, or if you need to leave a little bit early. Like I just got to that point where I was like, fuck it, basically. I was like, I'm not, like, I can always earn more money, but I can't get this time back with my kids. And they were like, you know, just a lot of things happened that really put it into perspective. And I always say, like, the universe, like Oprah says, it will send you these little nudges, and if you don't start listening, like your world will start to fall down. And that's essentially what happened to me. But just sort of following on from one question that I had actually with the ladies, so I'm conscious of time, and I just think you've shared so many value. You've actually answered most of the questions already, because you just you know, you shared so much value. But obviously, how do you find that balance? Like, obviously you are like, because I totally understand that people buy from people, and you know, for me, I'm not even necessarily like, you know, I was already drawn to your energy because you are so real, and because you are a mom, and like I said about the parking space yesterday, everything you say I could relate to 100%. So then, do you ever get any negativity that feels a little bit, it stings a little bit more because people know so much about you that they can be a little bit more personal with their you know, with their judgments or with their comments? Do you ever get any of that, or how do you think you would handle it if you did?
So if I'm honest, God, this is going deep now. I was bullied at school. I had to get taken out of my GCSE year, so year 11, when I was like 15, 16, on compassionate leave, because people have always, I've always been one of the smartest. Boys have always found me attractive. Girls have always been threatened by me. And like, this is probably like one of the first times I've actually been able to say that with confidence, instead of feeling like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really.
So you feel
I've
like you're
experienced
resilient to
that.
it now? Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to say? Like, I've got my boy, we've been
Yeah.
through, we've been to hell and back with him. Like, he was in intensive care when he was born. Like, we were in hospital for weeks, didn't know what was going to
Literally, that gave me
happen.
chills when you said that. I just can't even imagine.
Don't.
I know, I was following your story when you were pregnant. I was like, oh God, I really want to know. But I didn't obviously want to reach out because I didn't know if it was like,
Yeah,
didn't want
and
to know.
even things like, we were told he was going to be a girl. So on top of all the complications that we had, we then had a boy, and it was just like the most crazy thing. So whatever anyone can throw at me through a
Yeah,
screen as a keyboard warrior is
yeah,
literally not going to phase me. It's going to bounce
yeah,
straight off me. And like, don't get me wrong, like, I could easily delve into stuff and get myself really upset, but all that's going to do is drain my energy. And I've done that. I've been there when I was a teenager,
yeah.
and I've got upset, and I've kind of gone through the motions of that.
Oh my God, that like breaks my heart. My daughter's going to high school next year and I just can't bear it. I'm like, literally like, if anyone says one thing, we're homeschooling. Like, I'm not even having it. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna be at the gates every day. Like, I am that mum. I'm so obsessed about her. It's a bit weird probably, but I don't care. But as women, we are the worst. That's what I really, so that's why I obviously built a business academy, because I recognize that as women, it is so quick to judge each other. Like, I'm the same. I've had judgment from, you know, when I was in corporate, when I was at school, like even, you know, as a business owner, like people that are your friends, mums on the school run. And it's like, God, women, like society hold us back. You know, our legacy, like our ancestral wounds hold us back. You know, God, I could go so much into like the witch's wound, and as women, how we hold trauma from past ancestors. So it's never been safe for a woman to show up and be different, be confident, you know, have a different narrative to what society says is okay, without being persecuted or judged. So we've got like society, we've got like our mum guilt, our own beliefs, and then also we're going to judge each other as well, and you know, make it even
what
harder.
is the world?
Exactly. Like and yet men won't do this. And like, it's, to me, it just baffles me how people don't see the connection with how much power men have in the world, that they band together, like boys club, you know, they'll refer clients, they'll share like all of these things. But women, we like feel like we're in competition together, but
Yeah.
we're only holding each other back. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love that you've got that resilience. And would you say that is like working on your mindset? Would you say that that's having a great support network at home? You know, what do you think has given, or just having that resilience because you've been through it, and like you say, nothing else can hurt you?
Yeah, I think going through the experiences is definitely a thing. I mean, I had a toxic relationship when I was like from the age of 17, like 16 to 18 as well, which sounds quite young, and you think, oh, you don't know what toxic relationships is, but there was so much to it. And I feel grateful every single day that my partner is who he is, and he's quite spiritual. And I'd never been introduced anything to that. So he is the person that actually introduced me to things like The Secret and manifesting.
Oh my God, tell him there's a full moon on Friday.
Oh, I will. And like journaling and all that stuff. I was, because of where my mum was very black and white and like corporate, I'd never been introduced to all that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, definitely.
Probably as well because she didn't have the luxury of it. That's the thing. Like when you are that single mum, you just feel like you've just got to play safe all the time and just do the right thing. Like put all of your desires, you know, to the side, because it's all about your kids. So hopefully now, I really hope your mum is living her best life now. I hope she's
Well,
on a
you won't
yacht in
even
Santa
believe
Fe
it.
somewhere.
You won't even believe it. She is leaving her corporate job and she's doing her own thing from January,
Oh
which
my
is
God,
just
amazing.
amazing. So it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So your
But
legacy is just like living on, isn't it? Like that's the thing. When one woman rises, like it gives so many other permission for like other women to do the same. I really treat like you've obviously been that beacon of light in your own family and your network that is now sort of rippled out, and you won't even know like the extent of your legacy. Even just showing up on this podcast, like there's so many women that were really keen to like, oh my God, ask her this, like da 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 da, because. And if they take some value away or they feel a little bit more motivated or, you know, just even getting their routines ready for the week because of stuff that you've said, like,
it's
that's
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
okay. Well, we're probably gonna have to end it there, but we are going to do a live Q&A shortly, which I'll let the ladies know inside the Wealth and Wonder Academy. So as I was saying, like we're approaching it from two different perspectives. Obviously, for me as a mum, I want the time and financial freedom, but also my partner is a digital nomad, so she's always all over the world. Her tan is incredible. We're having a branding shoot on Thursday. I'm like, how am I going to stand next to Sarah? Not only is she taller, like blonder, skinnier, like she's bloody gymnast. I'm like, I've just had a baby, and also like I'm 5 foot and she's like a lot taller. So I'm like, wow, this is really great. Thanks. I've got to stand next to her all day.
You're gonna look amazing.
Oh, I will, because Louise is fantastic, the photographer. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Like I really appreciate it, and you know, just keep shining, keep doing what you're doing, keep growing that team. And I know that this is just the beginning for you, and obviously how, you know, your legacy in the world, this is just like the starting point. So we'll be referring back to like, oh my God, I know her in the future.
No, honestly, thank you so much. I've absolutely loved chatting to you. It's been amazing.
Oh, amazing. Have a thank you day. Have a fantastic day. And thank you so much for your time. I'll see you soon. Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been amazing to share this time with you, and I feel honoured to be part of your journey. If you've loved what you've heard, had an aha moment, or found value in this episode, then please do like, comment and share. I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, so come and find me, and I look forward to helping you build your epic life.